Today, watching BTS live, it was impossible not to notice something very clear. Many of us felt that difference that's noticeable when Taehyung and Jungkook share a space calmly, without pressure around them, without eyes watching their every move. A few days ago, when they had a more intimate, quieter moment, they seemed different, relaxed, authentic, connected to each other. Today, however, the energy was different, and it was palpable in the atmosphere. Taehyung was there, physically present, but with his mind elsewhere. Not because of a lack of professionalism, but because when they can't be as close as they want, some of their light is held back. Even so, there are things that no one can hide. No one can silence what is said without words. And in them, that lives in their gaze. Their eyes speak louder than any gesture. Taehyung and Jungkook tried to maintain distance, tried to focus on everything else, but they failed many times. Because when two people feel what they feel, instinct wins. They avoid looking at each other, but as soon as they cross paths, everything around them fades away. As someone once said, when they look at each other, the world shrinks to that instant. And that happened again during that live stream. Amidst so many people, so many voices and movements, Taekook still has a unique way of connecting. They don't need to touch or say anything. A quick glance, a small smile, a second of shared attention is enough. That hasn't changed over the years. On the contrary, it feels stronger, deeper, more sincere. There were moments when it seemed they forgot everything else, as if the rest weren't even there. And in those moments, we saw that Taekook again, the one who has brought us so much joy, natural and sweet. Those seconds when they lose themselves in their own world are the most precious, because they show who they truly are when they let their guard down. Taehyung, with his characteristic way of caring for others, kept peeling tangerines, offering them with affection, moving with that calm that defines him. Jungkook, for his part, couldn't help but look at him again and again, as if he found a safe haven in him. And Taehyung, every time those big, bright eyes rested on him, responded in the only way he knows how, with silent love, with complete attention. They seek each other out without searching, they choose each other even when they can't do so openly. Their eyes say it all, and there lies the admiration, the affection, and the love that grew with time and remains intact. Taekook has its own language, one that needs no explanation. It's the language of quiet, constant, real love. And although today there weren't as many smiles as on other occasions, those that appeared were sincere. Because when Taehyung and Jungkook look at each other, even for just a second, everything makes sense. That's what many of us saw and felt, and that's what makes Taekook continue to be so special. There are looks that need no words, and Jungkook's look toward Taehyung is one of them. When Jungkook looks at him, it seems as if everything around him fades away, as if the world shrinks to just one person. His eyes become calm, filled with an affection that feels real and constant. It's not a fleeting glance, it's a way of being present, of saying without speaking that right there, in that very place, is his. Over the years, that way of looking hasn't faded. On the contrary, it has deepened. Jungkook falls in love all over again every time his eyes meet Taehyung's. It doesn't matter the time, it doesn't matter the place. In a crowded room, Jungkook always finds Taehyung first. And Taehyung, in the same way, seeks out Jungkook with the same certainty, with the same peace in his heart. What unites Taehyung and Jungkook is a love that feels steadfast. It doesn't need grand displays or noisy gestures. It lives in the details, in a discreet smile, in a glance that lingers a second longer, in the way they care for each other without being asked. Many people have felt that special connection they share, because it's not hard to recognize when two people choose each other again and again. Over time, they've learned to protect what they feel. Their relationship is built on respect, trust, and an affection that endures even in the simplest moments. That kind of love doesn't break with change or fade with time. It grows, adapts, and strengthens. Taekook has shown that to love is also to stay, to accompany, to see the other as if they were home. There was a recent moment when they both tried to maintain a distance with their gaze, as if they wanted to be careful. However, the heart always speaks louder. Jungkook was once again lost in thought, gazing at Taehyung, with that gentle expression that shows admiration and tenderness. It's impossible not to notice how his face lights up when he sees him. That scene, so simple and so honest, melts the heart of anyone who believes in true love. Many people dream of experiencing a love like that, one where the feeling is mutual, clear, and constant. The most beautiful thing about Taekook is that this affection flows both ways. Jungkook loves Taehyung with the same intensity that Taehyung loves Jungkook. This equality has been present for over 10 years and remains intact. Love is like wine that is carefully aged. With time, its flavor improves, it becomes stronger and more valuable. That's what Taekook's love is like. Every day it feels deeper, more solid, and more sincere. It doesn't depend on age or circumstances. It's a love that learns, that matures, and that continues to shine, reminding us that when two people truly choose each other, they will always have eyes only for one another. There's a recurring contradiction within the fandom that, upon closer inspection, becomes impossible to ignore. Many people react differently to the same actions depending on who performs them. A simple gesture can be interpreted in countless ways, but the judgment shifts depending on who's involved. When those gestures come from Taehyung and Jungkook, doubts, comments, and criticisms arise. Conversely, when similar scenes are seen with other members, the reaction is usually calm, even positive. This creates a sense of inequality that doesn't stem from the act itself, but from how it's perceived. The question is unavoidable: are we truly being fair in our observations, or are we letting our personal preferences dictate what's acceptable and what isn't? It's not about pitting one group against another, nor about diminishing the value of any relationship. It's about recognizing that everyone expresses affection and closeness in different ways, and that none of these expressions should be questioned simply because of who's doing it. When prejudice is set aside, it becomes clear that what Taehyung and Jungkook share is genuine and consistent. Love doesn't always arrive with grand words or flashy gestures. Sometimes it grows silently, strengthens with time, and becomes more steadfast without the need for exaggerated displays. It's like wine carefully aged. With age, its flavor deepens and its value increases. That's how Taekook's love feels. It's not something dependent on age or a specific stage of life. It's a feeling that learns, matures, and transforms without losing its essence. Each day it feels more solid, clearer, and more sincere. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook exudes calm. There's a certain security evident in the way they support each other, in how they seek each other out even when they're not speaking. Their gazes say far more than words could ever express. There's trust, there's love, and there's a closeness that feels natural. When they're together, everything seems to fall into place, as if they've found a point of equilibrium where they can both be themselves. These details don't appear out of thin air. They're built over time, through shared experiences, through good times and difficult ones. That's why they're so clear to those who observe closely. It's not just what they do, but how they do it. The way Jungkook relaxes when Taehyung is near, or how Taehyung seems to find silent support in Jungkook, speaks of a deep bond. It's a connection that needs no explanation because it feels real when you see it. Many people try to downplay these gestures, but the reality remains. Jungkook doesn't show this kind of closeness to just anyone, and neither does Taehyung. That doesn't mean they don't care for others, but rather that what they share has a different nature. It's a mutual choice that is repeated in small, everyday acts, in the way they take care of each other, in how they pay attention to each other, in that unique way they have of finding each other even in the midst of chaos. Talking about Taekook isn't about creating a story separate from what is seen, but about giving a name to a connection that has grown over time. It's about accepting that love can be quiet, deep, and constant, without needing any fanfare. It's understanding that when two people truly choose each other, their actions effortlessly reflect that. And that's precisely what you see between Taehyung and Jungkook, a relationship that moves forward steadily, matures over the years, and continues to shine with the sincerity it conveys. In the end, it all comes down to seeing things honestly. To stop judging by different standards and allow each bond to be what it is. When you do that, it becomes clear that the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook needs no defense, because it speaks for itself. Their connection remains, strengthens, and continues to show that love, when it's true, always finds a way to make itself known.